Good morning to everybody. I am Dr. Krishna Mohan from EGS Engineering Department of Mechanical Engineering. Sorry for the delay due to some technical problem. Some delay happened. Uh, Greeting from Department of Mechanical Engineering, EGS Engineering, Nagapattinam, Tamil Nadu. Today, our speaker is Dr. A. Vinod Jabraj, Associate Professor, Department of Design and Automation, School of Mechanical Engineering, Vellore Institute of Technology, Vellore. The topic is challenges in metal additive manufacturing. I am very much proud to say Mr. Vinod Jabraj is our proud alumni of our EGS Engineering College, Nagapattinam. He is the third batch of the EGS Engineering College. One more thing, he is the first student in my teaching career. I am very much happy to introduce Dr. A. Vinod Jabraj. I request Vinod Jabraj to start his presentation. Thank you. Thank you. You can start now.
Yes. Thank you very much, sir, for giving me this opportunity. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Is my slides are visible, sir?
Yes, sir. Visible.
Okay. Okay. So, good morning to everyone present here. First of all, I welcome you all for this webinar, Metal Additive Manufacturing Challenges and Opportunities. Before going to start the session, let me give a brief introduction about this topic so that participants can understand in a deeper manner. So normally in any design process, suppose imagine yourself as a design engineer. In any design process, first of all, in the early stages of design, a designer must think about the manufacturability of a product. Suppose while giving a shape to a component, a designer must think about the manufacturability. So for any shape, if it is a simple shape, you can easily produce. But when you go for a highly complex shapes, there will be a manufacturing difficulties. If you think about a complex component which is having a different contour, then producing the component using a conventional manufacturing method is very difficult. Normally, if you consider, sir, I'm getting some disturbing sound, I think.
No, Vinod.
Okay, sir. Okay,
It is
okay,
clear to me.
okay, sir. Okay. So in any product design, in order to overcome the manufacturing difficulty, a designer must sacrifice some of the objectives to simplify the design because you have a difficulty in manufacturing. Normally, in conventional methodology, we have metal casting to produce the component. Whenever you have a complex shaped engineering components, we have metal casting, or otherwise you can go for metal injection molding process. But even in metal casting also, you have to design a die, and also you need a post machining process, which is very costly. So industries are in very much need of having a different technology, which is attracting more in near future, and also it is having a wide perspective in a current day trend, which is nothing but metal additive manufacturing. So metal additive manufacturing, actually, this particular term is popularly known as 3D printing. It was invented roughly 3 decades ago to fabricate the prototypes. Okay, so in any design, initially we have to fabricate the model, that is prototype. So in order to make a prototype, additive manufacturing was invented. But due to the enormous rapid development in computational facility, today it has got a wide perspective and wide attention among all the industries. Even medical field, doctors are using this additive manufacturing technology to produce patient specific components. So what we are going to discuss about in the next 45 minutes is metal additive manufacturing, particularly challenges and opportunities. Myself, Dr. A. Vinod Jabraj, I am working as an associate professor in the School of Mechanical Engineering, Vellore Institute of Technology. Okay. First of all, when to select metal additive manufacturing process as a manufacturing process for a product, whenever you need a design freedom, whenever a designer or whenever a manufacturing person needs a freedom in producing the component, then the best choice is metal additive manufacturing. So additive manufacturing is used to make more intricate shape. Intricate means highly complicated shapes and also critical components. As I told, you can build the component in a layer by layer fashion. Additive is nothing but a layer wise manufacturing. You can build the component in a layer by layer fashion. So this is an example for additive manufactured metallic component. So which has been built by layer fashion. So in this manufacturing process, you can directly build the component from the CAD model. You can in a layer by layer fashion. Actually, the main advantage of this particular process, you can go for a complex design and you can increase the complexity of your design at any level. But conventional manufacturing method will not help you to achieve the design or this kind of shapes. You cannot achieve using a conventional manufacturing method. You have casting, you have metal injection molding. In that process, you can achieve a complex shape, but the friendliness nature of this process, that is toolless manufacturing, which is called additive manufacturing, is having a certain benefits, and you can easily build the component without any scrap. So I can say additive manufacturing breaks the constraints of conventional manufacturing like casting or any other type of manufacturing process. So if you see the trend of additive manufacturing, the development of additive manufacturing across the globe, so you can see the increasing trend of the usage of additive manufacturing process in all the regions, North America, Europe, Asia Pacific region, and the rest of the world. So in all the regions, you are having a increasing trend, that is people are using the increasing usage of additive manufacturing technologies is getting increased day by day. So if you see in the year 2018, the approximate 3D printing market was calculated as 9.9 billion US dollar. So the forecasting says it will reach up to 34.8 billion US dollar in the year 2024. So knowing about this technology for a mechanical engineering student and also for the growing engineers will be very much useful in adapting this technology, particularly in the near future. So even if you are using a dental implants, today people are using dental implants, and also people are replacing the skull, okay, human skull. Whenever accident happens, people are replacing the human skull. By using this technology, we can produce the components, and you can go for different types of components in aerospace as well as automotive industries. So before going to discuss about the challenges in additive manufacturing, let me tell you the procedure first of all, so that beginners can understand. So what are the step-by-step procedure involved in additive manufacturing process? From the CAD model to final part, how you are achieving the product in a step-by-step manner, that has been given in this slide. First, you need to digitize your model. First of all, if you are going to produce a product, first you need to produce a CAD model. Using a modeling software, you have to produce a CAD model. After producing the CAD model, you have to convert your CAD model into an STL file. STL file is nothing but a stereolithography file format. So it's nothing but it will consist of all the geometrical data of your CAD model, which will be looking like a triangular mesh, okay, of your component surface. So once conversion of slicing is over, conversion of STL format is over, then you have to correct the errors present in the CAD model, because while converting CAD model to STL model, there will be some errors will be present in the component. You have to correct the errors using suitable softwares. There are many softwares available in correcting the STL errors. After correcting the STL errors, you have to go for a build direction. So if you take a component, for example, if I take this component, you can build the component in vertical direction. You can build the component in vertical direction, or otherwise you can build the component in this direction. So, or you can build the component in angular orientation also. So building direction is playing a major role, or building orientation is playing a major role, because it decides the mechanical property and also it decides the manufacturing time, and also whether your component requires supporting structure or not. That has been decided while choosing a building direction. Next, after choosing a building direction, you have to do a slicing. Slicing is nothing but you have to you have to slice your STL model into layer by layer fashion. So because this process, additive manufacturing, as I told already, it is a layer-wise manufacturing process. So you have to deposit the material in a layer by layer fashion. So for that, we need to give a slicing. So during slicing, what happens? Your G codes are generated. So while doing a slicing process in software, the G codes are generated. The G codes will give a machine language to the system. And then you are having a scanning strategy that is also called tool path generation. This also you have to give before additive manufacturing starts. And finally, you have to print the component in a layer by layer fashion, and then you have to go for post processing. So this is the step by step procedure to make a product from the CAD model. So a little bit more I'll explain about this process. Actually, these are the machine photographs which are currently available across the globe. In India also, we are having this facility in many places. This machine is called a DMLS machine, Direct Metal Laser Sintering machine. Okay, it uses laser beam to produce the component. This is the component which we have recently fabricated in our project. It's a simple shape component only. So using a stainless steel powder particles, we have fabricated this component using a DMLS machine. And you can produce the component using SLM. SLM is called selective laser melting. And also you can produce the additive manufacturing component using EBM, electron beam melting process. Okay, it can be done in a vacuum. And also this is more popular in repairing work. It's called DED, direct energy deposition. Particularly it's called a lens process, which can be used in repairing the component. So as I told already, the sequence follows like this. First, you have to digitize your model. After that, you have to decide the building direction. That decides build time, supporting structure, and also it decides mechanical properties. And then you have to do a slicing. During slicing, you are defining the layer thickness. So lesser layer thickness will increase the manufacturing time, and also lesser layer thickness will give a better quality of your product. And then you have to decide the scanning strategy, in which direction you have to scan the laser that you have to decide. After that, you can go for post fabrication. So this is the brief outline about the metal additive manufacturing process. And this is a schematic view of the setup. For example, if you look at this diagram, this is a powder delivery system. Okay, here we have a powder delivery piston, and this is the fabricated metal part. So here first this arm will be coating the powder, fresh powder layer will be coated here, and a laser beam tracks the powder bed according to the given slicing area. And then this build piston will come down with a given layer thickness. Then next layer of the powder will be deposited, and again the next layer will be scanned. So while doing a laser scanning in each layer, it will be penetrated to the subsequent layer. So for example, if you think about this is the building direction, normally the layer thickness will be from 20 micron to you can go for up to 80 microns if you want to get a good quality product. So each layer will be getting deposited, and the powder particle will get fused together, and the grain boundaries will be looking like this. So at this time, I want to show the video of additive manufacturing process, so that you can understand the process as of now. Whatever I explained, you can easily understand the basics of this process. Are you able to see the video, sir? Can you please type your response in the chat box, sir? Are you able to see the video?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So a layer is deposited here. So a laser scans the powder bed. This video was taken during our project work of my MTech student. We have fabricated a titanium 6,4 alloy, biomedical alloy, which was used in many bio implants. So we have attempted some tribological study this component. So if you look at the laser scanning direction also varies. I'll coming to that point later on. Just understand the process first of all. Okay. Okay. So I hope you can understand the process of metal additive manufacturing. Particularly the video what you have seen is laser based powder bed fusion. Okay, it's namely it is called direct metal laser sintering. So using the technology we can fabricate at present the powders are more popular, particularly stainless steel, titanium alloy, aluminum silicon magnesium alloy, and also you can fabricate the nickel based super alloy, particularly it's called the Inconel 718, and the Meraging steel. These are the powders are more popular in our country, and you can not only metals through this manufacturing additive manufacturing process you can make ceramics also. Okay, so this is the video you have seen just now. So these are the powder particles which was taken using a scanning electron microscope. As you have seen in the video, the powder particles will be looking like this. So these powder particles are produced using plasma gas ionization process. So it's a stainless steel powder particles which we have used for our project work. So it's a stainless steel 316L, mainly consists of iron, chromium, nickel, and molybdenum. And this is another one powder. They're having titanium 6,4 alloy, which is more popular in bio implants. So if you look at one important thing here, the powder particles are in spherical shape. Okay, so when you are having and also another important thing, if you observe, the powder particles are not having a same diameter. They are having different diameter. So the reason is while depositing the powder layer using a recoating arm, you should not get any voids. Okay, while depositing the powder layer, you should not get any voids, because when voids present during the laser scanning, then it will create defects, manufacturing defects. So in order to accommodate all the gaps, so you are having a powder size in the range. Normally the powder particles which we use in our fabrication varies from 4 micron to 40 microns. And also when you have a spherical shaped powder, it has a good resistance to flow, and you will get a better manufacturing quality. Okay, so these powders are manufactured using plasma ionization process. And also the powder size, the particle size decides the surface roughness of the component. So when you have more powder particle size, when you have more diameter, automatically the roughness of the component will be increased. So this is a microstructure of the sample which I shown in the earlier slide. Stainless steel 316L. See how the powder particles are converted into a microstructure because of the laser beam. You can also call this process as a micro welding, because welding taken place in micron level. That's why you can also call this as micro welding. So here you can see the elliptical grain boundaries of powder particles which are fused together. Okay, so it consists of fully austenite phases. And another important thing you can observe, while producing the component using this process, you are not having any intermetallic particles. So when you have intermetallic particles in the microstructure, it will be very danger in the mechanical properties and also in other behavior. So you are getting a clean microstructure through use of additive manufacturing process. This microstructure is austenitic stainless steel 316L. Okay, so let me coming to the point. So far, what we have discussed, So far we have discussed actually the introduction about additive manufacturing process. We have seen additive manufacturing is a layer-based manufacturing process. You can easily build the component in a layer-by-layer fashion from the CAD model. So by seeing this technology, it looks very fine, and also the attraction is very good among the industries. So even all type of industries are started using this technology, and they are producing the end user components. Once upon a time, additive manufacturing was used to produce prototypes, but today it is not the case. Today people are using additive manufacturing to produce aero components, and also people are using to produce nozzles in rockets, and also in medical field they are producing these patient specific components. So it looks fine, but the problem is there are some challenges in this particular field of metal additive manufacturing process. So I am going to talk about these three challenges. One major challenge is poor surface quality. So you cannot get the exact quality, or you cannot get the mirror finished quality from additive manufacturing. That is one major challenge. Then another one challenge is metallurgical defects. So you cannot get 100% defect free microstructure. So there will be some possibility of micro pores, and also there will be some possibility of partial melting during laser scanning, and also there will be some possibility of voids present in the component. So these are all the metallurgical defects so far reported in this particular field. And another one major problem is nothing but a residual stress formation. So residual stress, we all know as a mechanical engineer, it's a temporary locked stresses inside the component. How residual stresses are more danger, because not only human being, when you store the stresses inside the metal, them also will suffer a lot. So these challenges leads to uncertainties in structural properties of additive manufacturing metal parts. So first we will see one by one. So as I told, the surface roughness compared to other conventional manufacturing method, like metal casting and metal injection molding. These are the two conventional manufacturing process which are used to produce complex shaped components. So when you compare with these two processes, and also these two processes are used for mass production, when you compare these two quality of metal casting and quality of injection molding process, the surface roughness of additive manufacturing is very high. So you can see the increasing trend. But by having this kind of poor quality, you cannot recommend, or you cannot use the as built condition in a critical application. Okay, so there are some areas where you are having surface roughness is added advantage, particularly in medical field. If we have more surface roughness, then there will be a chance of tissue growth inside the body because of the porous nature of the surface. But in engineering field, this kind of surface roughness will not be accepted, because high surface roughness will lead to reduction in the life of the component. So what needs to be done? So this is the surface roughness image which you have taken in our project. So this top surface has been captured using a 3D non-contact surface profilometer. And you look at the morphology of the surface, it has a lot of peaks and valleys. So these kind of peaks and valleys are observed at micron level. By seeing the macro level, this component looks fine. But when you observe the component at micron level, you are having lot of defects. These defects are called stress risers. When you have this kind of defects in the real-time engineering component, you cannot have more life because of these stress risers, and because of the presence of this kind of irregularities on the surface. The life of the component will be reduced, particularly for dynamic loading conditions. If you are going for a component with a dynamic loading situation, this kind of surface irregularities will not be fine. Okay, it will reduce the life of the component. So we can go for currently most of the additive manufactured component are subjected to shot peening process. So when you do shot peening, the surface irregularities are getting vanished. So in shot peening, the millions of metallic particles are hitting the surface, and you are getting a good quality. But still, this surface quality is not having a mirror finish. But the advantage of shot peening is shot peening introducing a compressive residual stress on the surface. So when you are introducing a compressive residual stress on the surface, then the compressive residual stress will not induce any crack. It will delay the crack initiation so that you can have a better life of the component. So currently, this is one of the post processing techniques used in metal additive manufacturing process. After additive manufacturing process, you have to go for heat treatment to relieve the stresses. After that, you can go for shot peening. Shot peening is to clean the surface irregularities. If you look at the images before shot peening, you have a lot of defects and lot of surface irregularities. And if you look at this image after shot peening, you can see the irregularities are disappeared. So you are having dents, spherical dents are produced on the surface. So this surface will give a better life, and also the surface will have a compressive residual stress. So it's a 2D surface roughness morphology of a additive manufactured component. So shot peening gives reduction in the surface roughness. Nearly 70% of the roughness has been reduced. Suppose still if you are going for, if you are in need of a high surface finish in the additive manufacturing component, you can go for a super finishing process like lapping, and also you can go for a fine grinding process. So lapping and grinding and all will induce more fine finish. And if your component is complex, then you can go for abrasive flow finishing. So that abrasive flow finishing will smooth the surface if you have any inner contours and all in your component. Next, effect of build orientation. So build orientation also plays the surface major role in the surface roughness. As I have given the example, suppose if I build the component, suppose if you look at this screen, you are having the component, you are building the component in a layer by layer fashion. Suppose if the same component, if I build in the inclined manner, what will happen? There will be a staircase effect. Suppose if I build the cylinder in this orientation, so each layer is having the same cross section. So when you have same cross section in each layer, there won't be any staircase. Okay, there will be some irregularities at the edge, but that irregularities will not be much higher in dimension. But when you fabricate the same cylinder in this orientation, what will happen? Each layer will be deposited. While depositing each layer, you will get this kind of staircase. So this staircase effect is not acceptable. So definitely you have to go for a post machining process of your component. So effect of build orientation. So while choosing the build orientation of your component, you have to take care of the surface roughness. So you have to think about the post machining process, whether it is giving a proper surface roughness in that orientation, or otherwise, if it is possible, you have to choose a proper orientation which should give the minimum amount of surface roughness. That means which will give the good quality of the surface. Similarly, some kind of overhanging portion. Suppose if you are building the component, this part is overhanging part. So below this layer, you will have a powder particles. So this layer compared to this layer will not be having a good quality, because you are depositing the powder, you are depositing this layer with the help of bottom powder. So bottom powder will be acting as a support here. So this particular overhanging structure also will lead to poor surface quality. So while deciding the orientation, build orientation, you have to think about surface roughness. So while choosing a proper or optimum orientation, you can reduce the surface roughness of your component. Next, we are going to discuss about metallurgical defects. As I told already, there are three major challenges in additive manufacturing. One is surface quality. So the surface quality you can overcome by means of post-surface modification processes, and also by means of choosing a proper build orientation. Next defect is metallurgical defects. If you look at this microstructure, you are having some kind of porosity in the structure. So look at this structure, you are having micro pores. So these kind of porosities are not acceptable if you are manufacturing a critical components. So why these kind of porosities are happening? Suppose while depositing each layer, if the environment is not clear, normally the environment will be filled with an argon gas, which is an inert gas, which is used to make an inert environment. But when you are going for this kind of when you are going for a layer-wise fabrication, sometimes there will be a possibility of creating this kind of pores. This kind of micro pores are possible. This kind of micro pores are not acceptable. Why they are not acceptable? Suppose if this component is used in dynamic loading condition, the crack initiation will start from this kind of pores. So usually crack initiation is a major thing in a fatigue life of the component. So if you are having porosity in the component, then your porous nature of the component will start as a crack initiation location. So how to overcome these defects? So you can do solution annealing, or otherwise you can go for a hot isostatic pressing treatment. This very important process in additive manufacturing, particularly in post fabrication treatment, which is called a hot isostatic pressing. So what they are doing in this process, so as you see the additive manufactured component in as built condition, you can have a lot of micro pores. Okay, these pores are normally possible if you have chosen improper process parameters, or also even if you optimize the process parameters, 100% porous free product is not guaranteed. So you can have even 0.01 percentage porosity will be present inside the component. So but that porosity is not acceptable. So what you have to go for, you have to go for hot isostatic pressing. So hot isostatic pressing is used to eliminate pores and dissolve some intermetallic particles present in the component. So if you have any oxide formation in the component while doing a hot isostatic pressing, so in this HIP, what we are doing, you are applying a pressure in equal in all directions equally. Normally the range of pressure varies from 400 to 2070 bar. So, and in the presence of high temperature environment, you have to apply the pressure in the component. So what will happen, these pores will get arrested. So the post fabrication technique, hot isostatic pressing, is playing a major role in increasing the life of the metal additive manufactured component. So normally it increases the ductility of the part, because when you have a porous nature of the component, ductility will be severely reduced. So but when you have a ductile porous free component, the ductility and also fatigue life will be increased. So next challenge in additive manufacturing is the formation of residual stresses. As you have seen in the video, the laser beam, you might have noticed, it's a highly localized laser beam. Okay, so it's very narrow, and also the temperature gradient what is created inside the during the fabrication between the layers and within the layer is enormous. So the delta T value is very, very high. So because of that temperature gradient, you are having the formation of residual stresses. So as I told already, stresses are very dangerous, not only for human being, for also it is also for metals. So what is happening during the fabrication, while depositing the layer, you are having a solidification. So what will happen during solidification, heat transfer will happen to the subsequent already existing layer. So what will happen during cooling, this layer will try to contract. This layer will try to contract because of cooling nature, and the subsequent layers will resist the contraction. So the existing layer, while getting resistance from the existing layer, this top layer will get a formation of residual stress. So there will be a interlayer residual stresses in this kind of component. So residual stresses are more danger. You cannot use the component in the presence of residual stresses, because it leads to catastrophic failure. So what happens, mechanical forces, that is temporarily locked residual stresses within the parts as a result of expansion and shrinkage. So this is mainly because of the large thermal gradients. So how to reduce the thermal gradient? So even if you are using laser beam or electron beam during the fabrication, the thermal gradient is a major problem. So one of the main difficulties in additive manufacturing technology is the reduction in residual stress. So we are going to see some of the techniques which will be used to reduce the residual stresses in additive manufacturing. So these are the pictures showing the effect of residual stresses. So look at these components. So when the stress value is reaching the maximum limit, sometimes it will cause distortion, or otherwise it will cause some kind of plastic deformation in a particular region, or otherwise when it exceeds the strength of the part, when the value of when the magnitude of residual stresses are reaching the strength of the part, then it leads to catastrophic failure like this. So look at this component, it has substitute some kind of cracking. And also another important thing you can see, this cracking is not gradual, or it's not a time delayed process, it's sudden crack. Okay, so without any warning you are getting this kind of crack because of the residual stress. So these kind of cracks and this kind of distortions are generally not allowed you have to reduce it, and what are the techniques available to reduce the residual stresses during the fabrication of additive manufacturing we'll discuss now. So one way of reducing the residual stress is reducing the scanning length. Suppose when you are going for a large size component, for example, you are having a component which is having more size. It's not like a small size component which I showed you in the earlier slide. If you are going for a very large size component, then what you can do is you can change the scanning strategy by reducing the scanning vector. When you go for very long scanning, suppose if the laser scans the entire component in one length, when it comes to the next deposition, or when it comes to the next layer within the layer itself, you have to deposit more number of times. So when it comes to the next path, what will happen? There will be a more amount of delta T. For example, if the laser is here, it will reach the peak temperature. And when it comes to the end portion, the temperature will be reduced because of the cooling. After the second path, when the laser tracks again, then again this temperature will be getting increased. So the thing is, if you reduce this time, okay, suppose if you reduce this time, then what will happen? You can automatically reduce the value of delta T. That leads to reduction in the residual stresses. So this is another one technique. So the scanning strategy, in what way the laser scans the component, is very important in deciding the magnitude of the residual stresses. Another important scanning strategy, you can alternate the direction. Suppose even if you think about welding, normal welding process, what we'll do, suppose if we give excessive heat input, after welding the component will get bending. Okay, because of residual stress only it is getting bending. So in additive manufacturing, what you can do to avoid that kind of distortion, you can change the scanning direction. For example, if you take the first layer, if you can scan the direction as X direction, second layer you can deposit in Y direction. Okay, when you are going for this kind of changing layer, normally the heat transfer distribution will vary. So automatically, when you change the direction of heat transfer, the residual stresses also will be shared equally in all the directions. So what will happen when you go for an alternative scanning strategy? Existing research finding shows 30% of reduction in the thermal distortion was observed when you are going for an alternate scanning strategy compared with the single directional scanning. Similarly, another type of scanning strategy you can utilize, that is angular scanning strategy. So one layer you can scan at this kind of scanning is also called a Meindar pattern. So you can scan at a particular angle. The next layer you can scan exactly in the opposite direction. So this kind of angular offset scanning strategy also gives storage of residual stresses in an isotropic manner. So when you have same scanning direction in all the layers, definitely it will lead to distortion, or definitely it will lead to storage of high magnitude of residual stresses. So one way to reduce the residual stress in additive manufacturing, particularly the metal additive manufacturing, is to alter the scanning strategy. Another one type of scanning strategy is nothing but island scanning. Suppose this island scanning is applicable only for large size components. So what you can do is you can divide the scanning area into small packets. So that is called island scanning. So first your laser can target this area and then this area, so that you are packeting small areas. You are fabricating the components within a small layers. So what will happen? Where you are reducing the scanning length. So while reducing the scanning length, automatically the delta T is getting reduced. And also if you reduce the area further, again the residual stress will be reduced. So island scanning will give a reduction in residual stresses. And also this kind of island scanning, if you can go for random scanning also. So because of the generated G codes, you can scan the islands in a randomly fashion. So when you are scanning the island in a random manner, then also residual stresses can be reduced. And another important thing, while scanning the next area, there will be some overlapping. Okay, so that also you have to keep in mind. So this kind of island scanning, and also in normal scanning itself, when you are depositing one layer, when the laser scans this direction, then again it travels in the opposite direction. It has to overlap in the existing layer. That overlapping is necessary because of getting the defect-free component. So and another important thing, layer thickness. So as I told already, layer thickness has a major role in surface roughness. So when you have more layer thickness, surface will be poor. So when you have Similarly, in residual stresses also, we are having the effect of layer thickness. The layer thickness is having a significant effect in residual stress. Suppose if you are going for a less layer thickness, one of the biggest advantages of lesser layer thickness is you can reduce the porosity. You can reduce the porosity of the component, and you can produce the defect-free component when you go for lesser layer thickness. And another important thing, but when the layer thickness is reduced, heat transfer will be faster to the subsequent layer. So compared to higher layer thickness, lesser layer thickness will lead to significant increase in residual stresses. But on the other hand, lower layer thickness will give porous-free material when compared to higher layer thickness. So in that way, lower layer thickness is better. But in terms of residual stress, higher layer thickness is better, because this higher layer powder particles will act as an insulator that will make an hindrance to transfer the heat to the subsequent layer. Thereby, it reduces the cooling rate. So when you are reducing the cooling rate, automatically residual stress is also getting reduced. And next, related to this build orientation. As I told already, you can have this component. This component we recently fabricated in our project for my MTech student. So you can build this component in a horizontal manner, and also you can build the component in vertical manner, and also you can build the same component in another inclined orientation also. So as I told, build orientation has strong relationship with mechanical properties, because while depositing the each layer, the microstructure is getting formed. So normally in additive manufacturing sample, the columnar microstructure will be getting formed while depositing each layer. So in the direction of building, in the building direction, you will get an anisotropy. We all know the meaning of anisotropy. So that anisotropy will give variation in mechanical properties. Additive manufactured as-built component will not give isotropic mechanical properties. It will give an anisotropic property, particularly in as-built condition before heat treatment. So the build orientation not only affects the mechanical property, it also affects the surface quality also. That we have seen in that example of cylinder, how it affects the surface roughness by means of producing a staircase effect. So because of this anisotropy effect, so normally in the direction of columnar grains, you will get a higher strength. So that we can see using this slide. Actually, if you build this component in this orientation, you no need to get, you won't get any kind of staircase effect. Similarly, if you build this component in this orientation, there will be some kind of staircase effect in this region. Similarly, in this region. Similarly, when you build the same component in this orientation, again you need some kind of support, and there will be some kind of staircase effect in this region. So with respect to roughness, this orientation is better. So we have fabricated the component in this orientation only. So the advantage of having this kind of orientation, as I told already, there will be some kind of interlayer defects. So when you are depositing the layer in one by one fashion, sometimes there will be a possibility of interlayer defect. Sometimes the laser will not penetrate in the subsequent layer. At that time, you will have this kind of defects. So this kind of defects, suppose imagine that this defect is present here. If you apply the load in this direction, this defect will act as a stress riser. So here you will get a stress concentration. So because of that stress concentration, you can get the reduction in elongation, and also sudden fracture will lead to you will get a sudden fracture in the component. But the same defect, if it is present in this component, if you apply the loading in the direction of defect, suppose if you are applying loading instead of this y direction, if you apply loading in this direction, but the stress concentration what you are inducing here will not be present. So because of this kind of defects, always getting horizontal building the component in this orientation is better. If you are building the component in this orientation, you have to be very careful in the laser power what you are using. If the laser power is not sufficient, then this kind of interlayer defects will be present. This kind of interlayer defects are more dangerous even in the static loading. As I told already, the columnar grains. So the columnar grains will form in the direction of building. Suppose if this is the building direction, the grain growth of the additive manufacturing process will be happen in this direction. Okay. Suppose if I apply load in this direction, the component will suddenly fails. Suppose if I apply load in this direction, there will be more barriers. So because of this barrier, this kind of loading compared to horizontal loading, this loading will give more strength. This is called the anisotropy effect of additive manufacturing. This kind of anisotropy you can remove by doing kind of solution annealing and also some kind of heat treatment process. So this is the result we have obtained. We have compared with wrought alloy, conventionally available stainless steel with additive manufactured stainless steel, and we have observed excellent strength, yield strength in the additive manufactured sample compared to conventionally available wrought alloy. And the reason is additive manufacturing, because of the highly localized laser beam, you are having a very fine grains. This kind of fine grains will increase the strength enormously, but compared to conventionally available wrought alloy, the ductility is getting reduced. The ductility is reduced mainly because of some kind of defects present in the component. So this kind of defects, suppose if you want to increase the ductility of the component, then you have to go for hot isostatic pressing. That will close all the defects present inside the component. So look at the fractured surface of the component. This is the fractured surface of normal conventionally available stainless steel in the market, and this is the component which we have fabricated using additive manufacturing. This component usually it was fabricated using SLM, selective laser melting process. So look at the fractured surface. It shows a cleavage fracture, but here you are having the dimple. Lot of dimples are present. This dimple shows the ductile fracture. It has enormous amount of ductility, and but additive manufactured sample is giving fine higher yield strength because of fine grains, but at the same time ductility is getting reduced. So whatever we discussed so far is some of the challenges and some of the opportunities, some of the challenges present in the metal additive manufacturing process. One, we have discussed the poor surface quality. So you can overcome the surface quality by means of going a short pinning or otherwise some kind of abrasive finishing process. Another type of challenge we have seen is metallurgical defects. Metallurgical defects are unavoidable in additive manufacturing process. So if your component is highly critical, then your component should not have any kind of metallurgical defects. So then we have seen one technology to reduce the pores, that is nothing but hot isostatic pressing. And another major pitfall we have seen, that is nothing but residual stress formation. It's a very danger in additive manufacturing. So you have to reduce the residual stress by choosing a proper build orientation and also by choosing a proper process parameters. At the same time, in additive manufacturing, particularly this metal additive manufacturing, you should not use the component in as built condition. Actually, you have to go for heat treatment. You have to go for heat treatment, and then only you can use the component. Without heat treatment, if you use the component, that will give a reduction in life. Some of the future scope of research which I have mentioned here. So through this technology, you can develop a functionally graded material. So we all know it's very much needed in today's technology. Suppose even if you think about the cross section of the material, if you want to have a variation in chemical composition, if you want to have hardness on the outer side, toughness on the inner side of the component, then you can develop this kind of functionally graded material by altering the chemical composition across the layer. You can achieve the required properties. That is called a functionally graded material. So through additive manufacturing techniques, because of the development what we are having in this field, you can develop this kind of FGM materials, which is widely focused in today's trend. And another one challenge or opportunities in additive manufacturing, developing standards for additive manufacturing material testing. As I told earlier, conventional material testing is not equivalent to additive manufacturing material testing. Suppose if I test this sample, you are having the size of the sample. Suppose if I test the smaller size sample in conventional alloy, all will give same curve. But additive manufacturing, when you vary the size of the component, based on the size of the component, property will vary because of the nature of the component. So it is a requirement, it's an essential requirement in additive manufacturing to develop database for process, structure, property, and performance relationship. So for each material and for each process, there will be different kind of structure, because we have different types of metal additive manufacturing process like SLM, DMLS, EBM, and also we are having direct energy deposition. Each process will give different type of structure, and that structure decides the property and also performance. So there is a need for a database which gives a process, structure, property, and relationship. Then only this technology can reach a common man. And as a student, you can do a finite element simulation of additive manufacturing process. There are a lot of parameters like scanning strategy, scanning length, laser power, and also laser exposure time, so layer thickness, different types of parameters are available in additive manufacturing. You can do a finite element simulation to optimize the process parameters without any investment or without any cost. And finally, another one opportunity, additive manufacturing is currently used in low volume production. You cannot use this component in mass production. At present, very small volume production is happening. So there will be a possibility in future you can go for mass production through additive manufacturing. So these are all the areas which are having wide scope in future. I'm very happy to take if you have any questions. If it is coming under within my knowledge, I can try to answer your questions also.
The participants.
I need your feedback also. So if it is
Yes, thank you, Dr. Vinod Roy, sir.
yes,
One of the question from participants.
yes, sir.
Whether the composite material is possible in 3D printing?
Yes, sir. It is possible, but widely
Internet is composite.
widely it is not used. Actually, randomly oriented fiber composites are possible.
Okay.
A lot of works have already been done in that randomly oriented fibers. You cannot.
Fibers okay.
Yes,
There
sir.
are the participants in the metal matrix composites. For example, titanium with the silicon carbide or aluminum with the silicon carbide, like that.
Yeah, all with respect to powder only, sir. If you modify the powder, then you can easily make it. But the problem is currently whoever is developing the machine, they are supplying the powder. So you cannot use some other powder in that machine. So if you develop the powder and your machine supports that powder, then you can build the component. Whether it is metallic or composite, you can build.
What is the reason for that? We cannot use our own powder for the 3D printing.
No, it's actually even the software also. Suppose if I am using a particular machine during slicing and during the designing of supporting structure, we have to use the company's that's machine software only. Other softwares will not be accepted.
Yes.
That is, you know, the reason for that.
Commercial.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. One more question, sir. TH6L4V is the most used bio implant material. Is additive manufacturing suitable for antenna material for bio implants because of
Yeah,
more post modification process to overcome poor surface quality and microprocess?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Actually, bio implant needs more porous. When you have more porous surface in a component, you will have more probability of growing tissues. So normally, while implanting the artificial material inside the body, they used to have more porous nature because of the development of tissues.
Yes. Okay.
It is the video which I have shown is fabrication of titanium 6-4 alloy only.
Oh, Titan alloy only.
Yes, sir.
As a next question, what about the tensile strength of the 3D printed material when compared to conventional processed material?
Normally the yield strength will be increased, but the ductility will be reduced, sir. Actually, tensile strength will be more or less equal, but the ductility of additive manufactured component in the as-built condition is not good. Actually, you have to optimize the process parameters. There is a study when you increase the laser power, there will be more ductility, but we have to check it for that.
Brittleness will be increased, isn't it?
Pardon, sir?
Brittleness material, brittleness.
Because of the fine grains which you are producing in additive manufacturing, you will get an excellent yield strength, but ductility will be reduced as strength is inversely proportional to ductility.
So this is the main drawback of the 3D printing, metal printing.
No, it's not a drawback. Actually, you are having enormous advantages because you are in a conventional machining, in manufacturing. You have to go for machining, and also you have to waste a lot of materials. But in additive manufacturing, you can reuse the powders.
Oh, yes. Okay. Okay, sir. That's all the question from participants. Now I request our principal to deliver the vote of thanks to our speaker, Dr. Vinod Jabrai, sir. So, Principal, sir.
Namaskaram and good afternoon to all of you. Good afternoon, Dr. A. Vinod Jabaraj, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon.
It's a great privilege to have your webinar. Also, a great webinar from our proud alumni, Dr. A. Vinod Jabaraj, Associate Professor, Department of Design and Automation, VIT Vellore. Really, it is a wonderful session. We enjoyed very much. From the webinar, I have known some of the informations like what are the challenges in metal additive manufacturing, like poor surface quality, mainly the metallurgical defects. The speaker also dealt a method to reduce the metallurgical defects. Then he discussed about the formation effects and reduction of reduced residual stresses. Then what are the scanning strategies available for reducing the effect of residual stresses? Then he discussed by changing the scanning direction, how the residual stresses will be reduced. Also, he discussed about the angular offset scanning. Mainly, he discussed how the building orientation changes the mechanical properties. At last, he discussed some of the future scope for doing research in this field, like development of functionally graded materials and so on. So really, it's a wonderful webinar. So it will be very useful for our student community, faculty members, the researcher community. Once again, thanks for our great broad alumni, Dr. E.A. Vinod Jabaraj, sir. So, on behalf of our management, Department of Mechanical Engineering, and other faculty members, once again, thanks to all the participants who attended this webinar. Thank you very much for the Dean, Dr. Krishna Mohan sir, for arranging this webinar. And also, thanks a lot for arranging this webinar to the CEO, Chief Executive Officer, Dr. S. Chandrasekhar sir, and our management. Once again, my sincere thanks to Dr. A. Vinod Jabaraj and all the participants for attending this webinar.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I thank everyone. I thank Principal sir and my professor Dr. Krishna Mohan for giving me this opportunity. So where I studied 20 years before, where I started my engineering career. I'm very happy, sir. I'm very happy to take a webinar for EGS Play Engineering College students. Thank you. Thank you.
From the
Yes, sir.
participant, sir.
Yes,
Where
sir.
are
Yes.
the machines are available for research purpose in South India?
In Bangalore, a lot of private facilities are available, sir. I cannot name it because it's an online webinar, but a lot of vendors are available in Bangalore. Even you can search it in Google. A lot of additive manufacturing metal machines are available.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So all the participants, you will receive the email, the registration link, certificate registration link. So after 1 hour end of this webinar, so after filling the registration mail feedback form, you will get the certificate automatically. So now let us conclude the webinar. Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.